Hey guys, so I'm back with another video on my Neonates and Baby Think It Over Club website, and this time I am going to be talking about the neonates dolls and the differences in them so that you can see the different types of neonates that there are and how they are the same in some ways and different in other ways from real care babies. So on my website in the side menu, right under Learn About Baby Think It Over, there is Learn About Neonates. So first I just wanted to kind of go in and give you the background about the neonates. All of this content was taken directly from the Neonate Company website before they closed. They gave me permission to save all of it and use it for this group's website since they were going out of business. So this is about the people who created neonates. So the company was called Celu Spirit Inc. I believe that's how you say it. And it started from the Baby Think It Over company. Rick and Mary Germain invented the infant simulators and began the Baby Think It Over company. The infant simulators are computerized to mimic patterns of real infants for sleep and care needs. The original development was to assist in reducing teen pregnancy. Rick and Mary, then parents of 2 young children, felt that if teenagers really understood how having an infant would affect their lifestyles and their sleep, teens would decide to postpone having children until they were better prepared for the demands. What started with a basic concept grew into the Baby Think It Over program. As it's sold today, schools and youth groups throughout the world use the program to better prepare their youth for parenting, as well as reducing the teen pregnancy rate. The infant simulators are so realistic that they're often mistaken for real babies. When teens take them home, family members marvel at their realism. Of course, this was all before Reborns, and we know Reborns definitely look more realistic than the Baby Think It Over dolls, but just the same, they are pretty realistic. Baby Think It Over has received many calls over the years from people who wish to purchase them as a collectible or a toy doll. So on May 1st, 2000, the Germains joined with S.R. Oyam, I think that's how you say it, and that's Mary's sister. And they formed Celu Spirit. So Celu Spirit sells the dolls, and Baby Think It Over sells, who are now renamed Reality Works, they sell the infant simulators. So Mary, what is the president of Reality Works, Baby Think It Over, and oversees its day-to-day operations, and SR is the president of Celu Spirit and runs its operations. The 2 companies were truly sister companies. The goal of Celu Spirit is more than simply selling dolls. Mary and SR envisioned a website, dolls, and accessories that provided children with knowledge of parenting skills long before using the Baby Think It Over infant simulators. When children play with dolls, they are emulating parents, and even at a young age, they can learn basic information about caring for an infant. The accessories that were sold with the neonates, they have information about infants and how choices for that accessory reflect the infant. Now, unfortunately, Celu Spirit did close down February 7th, 2003. So neonates are no longer in production, no longer being sold. So that's unfortunate, but that is the reality. And so neonates are now pretty much considered a rare item because they're only occasionally found on eBay. It's very hard to find them on eBay. There's actually more Baby Think It Overs and real cares available on eBay than there are neonates. And to this day, like Nicole and I have talked about it recently, that we still wonder what the neonate company did with all those neonates when the company went under and went out of business, because I believe they did have a clearance sale at the time, but I'm sure that they still had a lot of stock left over when they finally closed their doors. And we often wonder like what they did with those babies, where they are. But so that's about the company. Now here is about the dolls. So there's it says that there's 2 types of neonate dolls, but there actually was 3 types. But the 2 types are basically the traditional neonates that are dolls. And so because they're a sister company with Reality Works, they used the same molds as the Baby Think It Overs. So the dolls look exactly the same in terms of the molds. All the ethnicities and the features of the molds, they're all the same. And in fact, even the neonates, like I mentioned before, on the back of their neck is engraved with Baby Think It Over, because it is the same mold that Baby Think It Over uses. They just were now manufacturing them as play dolls. So the traditional neonates don't have any electronics, and they came weighted and unweighted. I believe Claire that I got is weighted because she does feel like she has weight to her. I have to actually put her on my baby scale to see how much she weighs, and that would probably tell me. So the traditional ones, they inspire imagination, they don't cry, they don't make sounds, they require no batteries. Traditional neonates can be with or without the weight of a real infant. So for a very young child who cannot lift a real baby, the weighted neonates are too heavy, so an unweighted doll was better for them. The size alone will be enough for a small child to learn to handle, because all neonates are 21 inches. Their traditional weighted dolls feel like 7 to 8 pounds, which is what I thought. I think that's what Claire weighs. I'm going to put her on the baby scale though to see. So this is the front of the traditional neonate. As you can see, there's no speaker on its chest or any of that stuff. It is just the doll itself, much like the Baby Think It Overs before they transitioned to Real Care, because the Real Cares had the speakers, whereas the Baby Think It Overs looked like this at the front, and their speaker was at the back in the box. This is the back of the neonate. So the back is quite flat because they obviously just filled it in with vinyl, whereas on the Baby Think It Overs, the back had been cut out to put in the electronics. So now then they made the electronic neonate. So they have electronics. They're modeled after the baby. It says Baby Think It Over infant simulators, but really it was modeled after the original Real Care baby. So Real Care 1. It's quite like that model. They cry for care and respond with appropriate sounds like a burp, a coo, or feeding sounds for the bottle. All electronic neonates are weighted to feel like an 8 to 10 pound infant. Production of the electronic dolls stopped in November of 2002, that's interesting to read because I actually purchased my electronic neonate in August of 2002, and I was on like a payment plan, and she came home in September of 2002. So I just made it before they stopped. So this was the front of the electronic neonate. This was actually my original electronic neonate, who I named Haley. And you can see that she has the speaker that looks a lot like the original Real Care baby. This is a close-up of the speaker. So you can see the speaker there. And you can probably notice that she has eyebrows and eyelashes. And that was only on the neonate dolls. that was another way to differentiate between them and the infant simulators. So I think the reason that they didn't put all this stuff on the infant simulators is because that they're used in classes and they're kind of handle a lot, and you know, eyelashes would probably get bent up or fall off, paint can scratch off, so they just didn't put that effort in to put the eyebrows and eyelashes and all that stuff, whereas these were meant to be play dolls and or collectibles, so they kind of spruced them up a little. This is the back of the electronic neonate, and so like I said, this part here really looks like the original Real Care baby. This is the door that you open to put the batteries in, just like you would on the original Real Care baby. Now this down here is where the difference lies. So on a Real Care baby, this had the ID sensor, you know, the circle that was in the last video that you would put the metal ID in. That's where that would be. But on this, on an electronic neonate, it had an on-off switch. So if you had the switch in the middle, that was off. If you switched it to the baby's left-hand side, that would be play mode. And then if you switched the button to this side, it was show mode. And then this little Velcro square was to hold the diaper in place, just like on the original Real Care. And I'll go into what the play and show mode is. Here's a close-up of the buttons and the diaper sensor, and a close-up of the battery door compartment. So traditional neonates are made with and without the added weight that makes them feel like a 7 to 8 pound newborn baby. You got to choose the gender and the ethnicity. They wear traditional layout clothing, and you have your choice of pastel colors for the clothing. The electronic neonates wear clothing that's bright and colorful. They wear the vibrant neonates colors. The girls come dressed in red, the boys in blue, and then you had the option of having the stork choose, so it would be a surprise. You wouldn't know if you were getting a boy or a girl until it arrived at your door. So if you did stork chosen neonates, they would come home wearing green. So with each electronic neonate doll, you received 2 bottles, which one was a milk bottle, one was a water bottle. You got 2 diapers, a sleeper outfit with matching hat and socks, operating instructions, a hospital wristband on the baby's wrist, a hang tag, storage box, and batteries. So this here, you can see in the picture, this was everything that it came with. And so this here was one of the boy neonates, because you can see that it has the blue, but the girls would come with it would be red in these areas, and then the stork one would be green. And you also got this membership card because they had an area on their website called the Clubhouse, which was basically something you could log into to chat with other people who own the dolls. But I found that most of the time I would go in there, there wouldn't really be anyone in there. So the milk bottle is for feeding, the water bottle is for curing hiccups. So that was another thing that was added to the electronic neonates, was hiccups. The Real Care babies, and even now like the Real Care 2s and the Real Care 3s, they do not get hiccups. But this, I guess, was like an added play feature for the doll. So it would get hiccups and you would have to give it a little sip of water from the bottle, and then it would coo and stop hiccuping. So, yeah, the doll wears 1 diaper and then the other is included. So 1 diaper had a blue square and 1 had a white square, just like the Real Care. And when a cry tells you it's time for a diaper change, you have to put the other diaper on because it can tell them apart. The hang tag has a place to fill in the information for to, from, and date, which is great for, you know, when people were giving it as a gift. So the electronic neonates used 4C batteries, and 4 were included to get you started. It says they last for a long time because the doll had an automatic shut-off feature. So if you forgot to turn it off, it would turn itself off to keep from running the batteries down. And I can't remember how long it would stay on before it turned itself off. That I don't remember. And one distinctive difference in the look of the infant simulators and neonates dolls, like I said, were eyebrows and eyelashes. All neonates had hand-painted eyebrows and hand-glued eyelashes. Because they're done by hand, each doll seems to have its own personality, which is really true. I found that Haley really had a distinct look about her from even other people that had the Caucasian neonates I found. Which type of doll is right for you? So this was on the website as well, and it was saying there's traditional neonates and electronic neonates. And like I said, they were available weighted or unweighted. You can select any ethnicity and gender in any of the 3 styles. So they recommended that for very young children, 3 years and older, an unweighted doll is usually the best choice because they can't lift a real baby and have the same difficulty handling one of the models that feels like the weight of a real baby. So once they are old enough to handle lifting the doll, which they said was usually 5 years and up, the weighted traditional dolls were great. And at that age, they may not be ready for all the activities and responsibilities of the electronic one yet. So they recommended that 7 years and up, they were almost always wanting the electronic neonates. It says Sailor Spirit was a little surprised at all the people who are interested in the electronic neonates. They referred to their customers for this model as mostly age 13 to 80. And all 3 models are great for teaching nurturing skills, whether your child wanted to emulate your actions with a younger sibling, play at being a parent, or prepare for babysitting. There was an appropriate model. And then, of course, like I said, there was a lot of doll collectors that were really interested in them as well. Here's how the neonates work. There's 2 settings, play and show. So in play mode, the electronic neonates would cry to request things such as feeding, burping, rocking, a diaper change, a change of position. So they couldn't be put on their, I believe it was, they couldn't be placed on their belly or their side. I think it was only one side. I can't remember if it was the right or the left, but, or they cry because they've been handled too roughly. So they did have the rough handle feature, and also you had to support their head. Now, because they were modeled after the original Real Cares, their head did not turn from side to side. It would just drop back. So you had to support the head or else it would cry just like the Real Cares. And I believe, if I remember correctly, when I had my electronic neonate, I believe it had very similar sounds as the original Real Care baby. In fact, it may have had almost all the exact same sounds. Each activity has had a different cry as the request, but it took a lot of practice to be able to tell them apart, just like it is with the Real Cares. I'm pretty good at knowing now, like I've had my Real Cares for so long that, or my Real Care, I should say, that I'm pretty good at telling what cry means what. It says each activity or request is short in length, but requests are very frequent. So that was another difference. So it's not on a 24-hour real infant schedule because they were meant for children to play with, and children generally are going to lose interest if the doll is not doing anything for hours on end. They're not going to wait around. They want to interact and play with their doll right then and there. So it would say, cry for a bottle, and you would probably have to feed it no more than 5 minutes, I believe. and then it would coo, and then maybe like 2 or 3 minutes later, it might request burping, and then you would do that. And again, like the burping didn't take as long as it sometimes does with real cares. And then it would burp, and then, 2 to 3 minutes later, it might cry for a diaper change. And then after you change it, 2 to 3 minutes later, it would cry for rocking. So it was very frequent, very quick. It said they were in random order, so you never know what it will request next. Although I found with my electronic neonate, and I know some others ran into this issue as well, that sometimes it would get stuck in a pattern and it would literally repeat the same pattern over and over. It wouldn't always be random. And then, like I said, sometimes it would get hiccups and need a sip of water. And occasionally it would just cough or coo, kind of like how when I did my day in the life there with Veda, my Real Care 2 Plus, she would, sometimes randomly make sounds. Like she would randomly cough, or, like when I would go near her, she would be like, ah, or whatever. So the neonates did do that. In show mode, they actually did not require any care. So the baby never cried to request care, but the baby would respond to what you do. So for example, like if the child just wanted to play with their doll and decide when they wanted to feed it, change it, all that stuff, they could just put the bottle to its mouth. Like it says right here, you put the bottle to its mouth, the doll would make feeding sounds, and it would do that for however long you decided to hold the bottle there. So if you have fed it, you can get it to burp after that. But again, it wouldn't cry to be burped. You would just burp it. If you change the diaper, it coos to thank you. So in show, you were in charge of what activities you wanted to do with the baby, and you could do the activities in any order, and you can make feeding times as long as you wish. So the neonates are very similar to Real Care Baby by Baby Think It Over, but there's some basic differences. Baby Think It Over makes infant simulators. Neonates are dolls, a toy. The neonates are not on a schedule of a real infant. They do not get up at night, or they don't get you up at night. They do not keep track of how well you've cared for them. The neonates have an off switch, so you can turn them off and on as often as you wish. If a neonate does not sense any emotion for about 20 minutes, there it is, 20 minutes, it turns itself off to save the battery. The neonates do not have the fussy activity that the Real Care Baby does. Instead, neonates get the hiccups, something that the Real Care Baby does not. Real Care Baby requires a student ID, which is attached to the wristband, and neonates can be cared for by anyone with no student ID required. So then you can go onto my website if you want to see more about this. So I have a section that talks about all the clothes that the company sold, but I do also have pictures. So here's the blue. So when you would get the traditional neonates, whether they be weighted or unweighted, the boys would come in these light blue gowns and cap. The girls would come in the pink. Or if, like I said, if you wanted to do a stork chosen baby where it would be a surprise whether you would get a boy or girl, they would have this mint green. And then they also had an extra option. So if you wanted to, you could request a yellow gown, which is this gown right here. So it just depends. Like if you didn't request the yellow, they would just send you the ones that I just showed you. And the electronic neonates, like I said, the girls would wear the red. Boys would come wearing the blue. And then the stork chosen was like a vibrant green. So basically just vibrant colors. And then these are all the different clothing items that the company sold. They had bonnets, booties, bunting, a christening gown, jackets, sunsuit, sweaters. You can go to the website to look at all of that. It's neonatesmbtio.com. Same as all the accessories. I have all the accessories that the company sold, and there's like descriptions of them and pictures. Here's the different types of neonates. So there was the Caucasian right here, which is what I had. There's the Native American, the Latino baby, which I believe on the RealityWorks website, they refer to this as Hispanic. There's the African light, African dark, and I don't even know how to say this word, Hmong. Again, RealityWorks just refers to this as the Asian sculpt, and this is Claire's. This is what Claire is. I just call her the Asian because I don't even really know how to pronounce this word. And then there's Japanese. And like I said, this was the old mold that they used for the Japanese babies. They used these for the Real Cares. And then I believe once they introduced the Real Care 2s, they actually redid the Asian mold. And so the current Asian molds that RealityWorks offers look a lot different than this. I feel like they look a lot more feminine than this one. This one looked a little bit more like it could be boy or girl. So those are the different ethnicities. And we have different pictures here. These were like, this came with the baby. There would be this flyer here, and then the other side of the flyer was this. These were just pictures from the website. So there's the hang tag. And as you can see, all the babies have the hospital bracelet. Yeah, these are just all pictures from the website that they have. And yeah. So also, if you go to my website, under the neonate section, there is all of the neonate sounds. So we have the the sleeping sound. I don't even know if you consider that a sleeping sound. There's cry for a bottle, burp, cry for a burp, coo, cough, cry for a diaper change, drinking sounds, cry when head falls back, hiccup, cry for needing to be rocked, and cry when placed on tummy or side. We also have all of the Real Care 1 sounds and the Real Care 2 sounds on here. I don't know if these are all of the sounds. It doesn't look like it. These were just given to us by some members that managed to record them. So yeah, I don't think we have all of the sounds and cries for the Real Cares, but we have some of them. So you can get a general idea. And there's like an actual link on the side menu that's sound files where you can access all of those, or they're also under the Learn About Baby Think It Over page and the Learn About Neonate page. So that's pretty much it for this video. So hopefully that gives you a really good insight and idea as to the differences and all the different models and brands and all that good stuff. So with that said, like I said, Claire, that I got from Cynthia's collection, she is just a traditional neonate, so she does not have any electronics, and I do believe she is weighted because she does feel quite heavy. But like I said, I'm going to weigh her, and I mean, if she comes out to be 7 or 8 pounds, then I know for sure she is a weighted neonate. And she is according to the neonate website, the Hmong sculpt, if that's even how you say it. I just refer to her as the Asian sculpt because that's what RealityWorks has that listed as. So, again, this was a photo we took at our Minnesota meetup, and it literally has all the different ethnicities in there. Some of them are Real Cares, some of them are Baby Think It Over, some of them are neonates, and we also have the Ready or Not Taught in there as well, because Tammy actually had this shipped to the hotel because she bought it off eBay. But anyways, I am running out of time, so I'm going to wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.